In this week's episode, we talk about the ethics of outsourcing, how to deal with highly emotional people, and the number one thing you need to do when you don't have enough. Hi and welcome to episode 16 of Business Greenhouse TV. Really excited to be back in the saddle. Just landed from Perth. Went there for a couple of days to do some meetings and a short 45-minute talk there for Kingdom Investors at Live Church in Girrawheen. Big shout out to Pastor Dean for giving us the facility. That was excellent of you. So we had a whole bunch of entrepreneurs and I just kind of poured into them as much as I can in a short amount of time and had a great time. Got some very exciting news coming out very shortly. Super exciting, like probably our premier bit of news that we put out every year. Some of you may already know what that is, but within days from here, you're going to be seeing some super exciting news about something that's opening up for us. So I'm excited about that. So keep your eye out for our next alert or two that come out and you won't miss it. Let's get into today's show. Michelle, what is our first question?
Anna Cunningham asks, is it ethical or Christ-like to use third world labour, like virtual assistants, and pay them third world prices? For example, paying them $7 an hour when you'd be paying $30 an hour for someone in Australia doing the same job.
Anna Cunningham, let me give you a shout out first. Sweet Hope Photography. Got an amazing gift, an amazing ability to do wedding photography and capture those moments. So very well done for you. So here, it's a good question. Like, is it ethical and Christ-like to outsource to third world countries instead of paying people here in Australia? It's fine. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. Like, I'll give you an explanation of what I mean. Like, we live in a global village. To me, like, Australia is a very expensive place to do business. Our labour rates are really, really high. 4 weeks of holiday paid, payroll tax when you get bigger. Like, all of that does is make the global village more attractive because it's cost prohibitive to do business here in Australia. Here's my theory though. Sometimes it's too much of a jump to go from I don't need a staff member to I need a staff member here in Australia. And that jump is big. Like it's a, $40, $50, $60, $70,000 a year investment to get that person. Sometimes you need to bridge a gap where you need to grow your business in the interim to be able to afford to put that person, that Australian, on at the much higher rates. Okay, so that's where outsourcing does its best work. Like it bridges that gap. Like if you can't afford someone, so go and get somebody who can help you grow your business until you can afford to employ an Australian. But I'm not romantic about needing to employ, like Aussies must get jobs first. I'm not romantic about it at all. I'll go wherever it makes economical sense. But I want to flip to, how do we treat them really well, okay? Because I think, if they're putting their price up at $2.20 an hour and you're negotiating with them, then I don't think that's Christ-like, okay? I think you've got to find a way for them to get paid better than they would anywhere else. So if it's typically $6 an hour or $7 an hour for them in their home country, you've got to find a way to pay them that and give them some bonuses or give them extra. I think that's Christ-like. That's an opportunity to work with you that they're never going to get in their home country. I think that's an excellent thing. I'm interested in the prosperity of my brothers and sisters. I am my brother's keeper. If I'm going to love my neighbor, I need them to prosper. And that's prospering for them in their country. That $7 goes a long way for them, okay? More than the $30 you're going to pay someone here. I think the bit that I don't like in outsourcing world is these companies that don't tell their clients that the work's being done offshore. So what I really hate is, professional services who sell a client, Aussie priced services and then secretly go behind and get the work done offshore. A lot of your, SEO, AdWords, tech world do it. Accountants and lawyers are starting to do it. I'm not a fan of that at all. I think that's unrighteousness to put a perception out that you're doing one thing and then try and make more margin by flogging these people over there. I think that's a real problem. I also think you want to be real protective of your data. You never want to be sending sensitive information offshore because Australia spends billions of dollars a year on its sovereign protection and we just go and give all our data overseas. Like, you want to be really careful. But I am a massive fan of using those people for certain tasks. And I use them regularly to create a list, to do some admin work for me, like compile all these notes into something and send it back to me, transcribe an audio into a Word document and send it back to me. You know, tasks that I'd have to pay big dollars for here and not worth it, I can get done over there and I can bless them. Couple of things to be mindful of when outsourcing. The moral dilemma for me is not there. I just think you've got to pay them better than you said you would. So if you agree on $7 an hour and they do a great job, give them a bonus at the end. Quite often, if somebody's prepared to do something really cheap for me, and as long as it comes back they did a really good job, I will double pay them. So if they said $30 to do a task and it was excellent, I'll give them another $30 because it cost me $60, but it's the value is really high for me. And then I get their loyalty. They want to work for me. I'm first in line when I got another job. So it's a really good strategy. But I don't think there's a moral dilemma. I actually think it's Christ-like to reach out for the poor and to give them an opportunity to prosper. That's the answer to my question. Michelle, what's question number 2?
Anthony Rigg asks, when you're selling an expensive service and there's lots of emotion involved, what would be your best advice to win the client's confidence?
Anthony Rigg, great question. Shout out to you, Bluescape, running a fantastic design firm / architect firm in Brizzy, doing some amazing work actually, using his God-given ability to create something that isn't actually there already. And he's got an amazing ability to see something and be able to put it on paper. So how do you sell something when the people involved are highly emotional? Well, that's when I think it's easier. My answer is that's when it's easier. Like we teach our people all the time, we teach our clients all the time. You've got to find that emotion in the sales process. You've got to find that, you've got to be able to draw that emotion out because that's what people make a decision on. So if you've already been given, a highly emotional, highly charged prospect, then excellent, because a lot of the work is done for you. If we're talking about being emotionally charged and it's sometimes not healthy, say there's a husband and wife or 2 partners in the deal, 2 different people, and they're very opinionated about what they want, and that's what you mean by highly emotional, then I think the process will alleviate the problem. You've got to go right back to the start and have the authority as the professional service, and you've got to have a process that lets them give you the authority right at the start. So you've got to pre-frame the entire dialogue that you're going to have with them that says, this is my skill set, this is what I do, I'm going to be asking you individually for your feedback on separate things, I want it to be constructive, I don't want fighting. I think you can afford to be like that at the start of the process so that you're actually walking them through, and then you've set the expectation that they can't just fight about stuff, that you've got a process to draw out what do they like, what do they don't like, and come up with the middle ground for them, okay? If you outline that at the start, then they will all settle down and they will follow your process and they won't be so emotionally charged. So I think emotion is good. You've got to find emotion. You've got to use that emotion, not using it against them, but that's their number one reason why they're going to buy. And a lot of salespeople have to go digging for it. If you're finding that it's right there in front of you, life's a lot easier for you. But if it's an unhealthy amount of emotion, you've got to have a process, you've got to have a script, you've got to have a way of dealing with it so that when it gets charged, you draw the information out you need to find the common ground for them, and that's when you're going to get the agreement and they'll both be on the same page to go ahead. But it's a very solid question. When you're talking about architecture and design, you're talking about big dollars, big dreams, this could be the only house they're going to design. They're going to spend the rest of their life in it. So it is emotionally charged, but you've got to have that authority to walk in there and take control of that to get everybody back on the same page. And your process will be the thing that drives that. Very solid question. Today's show brought to you, Twinings is back. They paid their royalty this week. Twinings green tea this week. Let's go to Word of the Week. Okay, this week, I want to look at Matthew 14:15. Now, we all know this story. This is about a fellow by the name of Jesus who feeds 5,000 people. That's actually more than 5,000. It's probably something around the 10 to 12,000 people. But this is how it goes. As evening approached, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a remote place. It's already getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go to the villages and buy themselves some food." So here we've got Jesus, who's got a very short amount of time to do his ministry. Here we've got his right-hand man trying to send the people away so Jesus can't do his ministry. Jesus says to them, "They do not need to go away. Give them something to eat." "We've only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish," they answered. So They've seen a whole myriad of miracles. They've seen a whole bunch of things going on. And right now, they're straight back to doubt. It's like, how can we possibly feed this many people with only this? Bring them here, he says. And he directed the people to sit down on the grass. This is the bit I want us to pick up on. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke the loaves. So here we've got the Messiah giving thanks when he didn't have enough. When he didn't have enough, he gave thanks. I wonder what about you? I wonder whether you're giving thanks for your not enough. I wonder whether you're thankful when you don't have enough customers, don't have enough cash flow, don't have the staff, don't have the energy. Are you thankful? Like, do you even look at what you actually currently do have and look up and say, thank you for this? Even though it may not be your ideal scenario, you're thankful. This attitude of gratitude is basically a springboard for your next level. If you can't be appreciative and thankful for the bit that you have today, don't expect to have a whole bunch more because it'll be wasted on you as you grow. We've got to develop this place that says, even if I'm not where I want to be, even if I haven't got everything, even if, I'm frustrated because this is slower growing this business, you look up and you give thanks for what you do have today. I think an attitude of gratitude is infectious. I think if you were to adopt that and start to walk it out, other people will look at you and they will go, wow, what's different about you? And you can say, well, I've just decided that, I'm going to walk the future out with God and we're going to do it together. But right now, what I've got, I'm so grateful for, the little business or the big business or the things I've got or the cars I've got or the properties or the whatever, the 23 customers that I've got today. I know I need 1,000. I've got 23. I'm going to be happy with my 23. I'm going to be thankful for what I have today. I think this thankfulness is a fruit of the Spirit that people need to look upon. And when they do look upon it, they will ask the question, what's different about you? You will start to see things differently if you have thankfulness for what you have today. So I wonder if you took stock, if you grabbed yourself a pen and a paper and you literally wrote, or you could put it in your iPhone if you want, just literally sit there and go, what have I got that I'm thankful for? What's all the stuff I've got? Some customers and some this and some that and some great team. And what if you actually sat down and decided that you were going to be thankful for that? Thankful when it's not enough. Solid episode. Make sure that you stay attuned next couple of days. Some very exciting information is going to be coming out. Make sure that you don't miss it because it's super exciting. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.